Hello, and thanks so much for joining me, Gary Zacharias with the Apologist Bookshelf. I'm really interested in artificial intelligence, and I'm putting together kind of an extensive talk on that. I've done a smaller talk on it, but I really want to dig into this. So I've come up with 3 books that I will be sharing in the next few podcasts. This one that I'm going to focus on today is called Artificial Intelligence and the Christian. Peter Goeman is the author, Goeman. And it's subtitled Understanding AI's Promises and Pitfalls. And I think that sums up everything that we need to know about artificial intelligence, right? That it's a tool, and like any tool, it can be used well, it can be used badly. And so he's saying that on the back cover, it's talking about AI as one of the most powerful and disruptive forces of our time. And boy, that's absolutely true. So it said, how should Christians respond to AI? How can we navigate the benefits without falling prey to its potential dangers? And then the key, he says, is how do we apply biblical principles in a landscape increasingly shaped by machines? So the author, Goeman, has a PhD, and he's an associate professor of Old Testament and biblical languages at Shepherd's Theological Seminary in North Carolina. He teaches a young adult ministry there, and I think that's why he's interested in AI, because that's going to be their future. Has a blog and a podcast called The Bible Sojourner. It's petergoeman.com. Remember, that's Goeman, petergoeman.com. So I wanted to read just something from the preface, and then we'll get started, just kind of walk our way through this book. He said, obviously, the book will not exhaustively analyze the ethics of using AI or diving deeply into the technicalities of how it works. Yeah, that's for sure. So the reason I mention that is it's a short book. It's 55 pages. So the price is right. It's a nice, easy read, quick read, but it'll give you some important information about AI. It's copyrighted 2024, so I wanted to make sure I got books that were recent. And anyway, so in the preface, he said, the book is designed to be informative. He said there's a pressing need for Christians to know what AI is capable of, but recognizing the dangers that it could pose. And he said Christians need to be equipped with wisdom to think about these issues that AI introduces. So he said he hopes that the book will serve as a guide to help believers engage with AI thoughtfully. So I think that's really important. First chapter is called Don't Trust Your Eyes. And he tells the story here, and I got curious enough to go check it out. But here's the story. In 2023, Sony had what they called the World Photography Awards. And the winner was a man named Eldegson. I don't know, maybe Swedish. The photo was black and white, an older lady hugging a middle-aged lady from behind. It was beautiful. And it looked kind of old-fashioned. And it won $5,000. First place prize. There's just one problem. It wasn't real. So he actually turned down the money, and he revealed that he used AI to create it. He hadn't taken a picture at all. He just did some image generators. And so some people were pretty miffed about that, that he even entered it. It was kind of a con game, but he was just showing how far AI has come. So I looked it up. You can look it up as well. You just type in Google search 2023 Sony World Photography Awards, and the photographer, I guess we can call him a photographer even though he didn't do a photograph, is Eldagsen, Eldegson. That's his last name. So you can look at the picture. It's kind of haunting. So he said he wanted to show people when he began to study AI, he began to show, now I'm talking about the author here, Goeman, for this book. He included photos of Trump sitting down with Winston Churchill, a photo of Trump winning the 36th Olympics. And then best of all, I love this one, an image of Trump singing alongside Taylor Swift. He said he had videos of Obama and all sorts of stuff. But he said all of it was done with free tools. All you need is to hook up to the internet and have a smartphone, and off you go. And he said AI is just making huge progress when it comes to generating pictures and movies and videos. He said even if you think back a few years, they used AI to have Carrie Fisher and Peter Cushing coming back as living characters in Rogue One, one of the Star Wars movies. So they're pictured in the film. like it was in the original 1977 film. So it says now we live in a day where there are going to be pictures, even if things hadn't happened. He says it's just about impossible now for an average individual to look at a photo and decide, is it real or is it AI? But he said, take a look at the text composition capacity of AI. Language models like we see in chatbots, or text generators, they can produce all sorts of human-like responses. Well, amen to that. I've gone online and messed with ChatGPT. In fact, it was kind of fun. I entered a bunch of information to ChatGPT about two of my grandkids, and I said, write a poem. And it did. It put both kids in two separate poems, and they're pretty clever. So I said, all right, so we've got text that AI can generate, but it said, as it gets better at mimicking actual writing, it's going to be a lot harder to distinguish what is really human and what's machine-made. That's right. And it says social media and the internet already had posed problems for Christians trying to figure out what was true and what was false. But they said people are going to have to work twice as hard now to try to discern and to ascertain where is truth. So that was chapter 1, very short chapter. It says, don't trust your eyes. Here's chapter 2. It's going to talk about the good things about AI. It said, think about your bank. It uses a form of AI to monitor transactions. Your smartphone uses AI. It suggests your text that you might want to create. Netflix, Google, Amazon, they all have AI in their programming. It said if it can be used in a beneficial way. He said here are some ways that he thinks Christians can benefit from AI in the coming months and years. So it's the chapter is the power and possibilities of AI. So here we go. He says, what about personalized learning? Would you like to know a new subject? How would you start learning? What books would you find? What would be your pace of study? Most people can't figure out where to start. But he said, imagine you could go to a website and just type in a request to create a customized learning plan for a particular subject, maybe with suggested reading. He said that's already possible with many AI models. You can request custom learning plans for languages like Spanish, French, Chinese, maybe math, science, history. So it said one well-known educator that he heard talking someplace said AI could conceivably eliminate the public school. Parents who've been refused to homeschool because they couldn't figure out how to do their lesson plans, now they'd be able to. He says also, take a look at grammar and spelling and rewrites. If you've used Grammarly, and I've used that with my students, so you've already been using AI. Many of the grammar and spell check programs out there use AI to help people figure out if grammar is correct. But that's good because I remember years ago, they took Lincoln's Gettysburg Address, and they just took the first part of it and put it into a machine to look at its grammar. And it was funny because the machine didn't like the language at all and tried to correct it and just ruined it. But someday things will change, I guess. So it said this book that I'm holding here, Peter Goman's book, he said he wrote it by dictating a significant portion of it into his iPhone. Then he fed that vocal transcription through AI to correct mistakes and to ensure that what he spoke would be read clearly and make sense. So he said sometimes he'll copy a sentence that he's not really sure of into something like ChatGPT and ask the program for alternate ways to write that sentence. He said usually he finds something, or maybe he can combine 2 or 3 of those. Here's another area that he says will be good for AI, some of the power and possibilities, brainstorming. He said, maybe you don't know what to do for an upcoming men's retreat. You could ask AI, give me 20 different ideas for a men's retreat for a church. He said, you'll have all sorts of suggestions. One lady at his church was trying to figure out a name for her company that she was starting. So she asked ChatGPT, give me 50 different possibilities for this company that specialized in firearm training. And she said one of the names was perfect. And so that's what she's come up with. He says maybe pastors planning on interviewing a church missionary might want to brainstorm questions to ask. Maybe it's a missionary living in northern Africa, particular questions. So something else AI can do, he said, are event planning. He said small Christian companies and churches may not have anybody who can plan things effectively. And he said AI could help people. He said, including himself. He's not good at planning events. He said they could do that. He said you could ask AI to design a schedule. He said maybe we won't go with the final product, but at least gives you some ideas. And then, of course, audio, picture, and video editing. That's amazing what AI can do there to edit the material. He said probably the greatest thing it can do is take an audio file and edit it, which would take so much longer to edit any other way. It says Adobe has a beta AI audio program available for free, and you can upload an audio file to their website. Then the AI edits and cleans up the audio file, gets rid of background noise. You don't do anything. Isn't that amazing? Yeah. So it said you can take somebody like, he says he's graphically challenged. So he can type a prompt into a program like Adobe Photoshop or Canva, and AI can work on a photo, can adjust it any way possible. And I've seen that. I asked it to come up with a poster that would be good for a talk on AI and Christianity, and it did. It had Jesus and it had a robot together, and unbelievably beautiful background. Pretty impressive. So AI can do what else? Well, it can produce royalty-free images. Now, I know myself, when I'm trying to do PowerPoints, many times I'll find something that is a picture I really like, but it's somebody owns it, right? A company owns it or some individual owns it. So I go, well, I got to find something else. But AI can generate images that don't exist anywhere else. It doesn't have a license restriction. And it can create some very realistic pictures. Yeah, I've seen some. So I said that'd be good for Christians. Maybe church communications. Maybe you're planning a church picnic and you want to use an image and you don't want to have to mess with royalty fees. So it says it can generate an animation, a cartoon, maybe a photo of people at a picnic alongside a riverbank. Here's another area AI is getting good at, and it's research assistant. So that's really good. It said you can ask AI to give you a synopsis of an article or a book. You can upload a specific article as a PDF and have live interaction with an AI research assistant. Maybe it's Matthew 16 or the baptism of the dead or something like that people are curious about. Said AI has made search capability a lot more specific and functional, and that's true. Here's an area I think is fascinating because I have a real struggle when it comes to foreign languages. AI is good at translation help. They have what are called large language models, LLM, that's AI. They're trained on large data sets from multiple languages, so it can recognize words and phrases that go together well, and they will translate much more realistically than programs in the past. And it said it's kind of in its initial phase, but they said some amazing developments that are going on there. So let's imagine you're a missionary. You want to go to a foreign language somehow and translate the Bible in that language. Said most of the time you just go to school forever trying to create dictionaries for that target language. AI opens up all sorts of things now. It could record audio conversations in a tribal context and transcribe them. Could analyze word usage, could analyze context. And he says with enough data, AI could presumably construct a rough lexicon or dictionary, giving a valuable starting point for a Bible translator. Wow, I think that's great. That's really important. He also says AI has a possibility for mundane automation, right? Just the boring kinds of jobs. And it said now you've got mundane automation with AI. So companies, for example, are promoting self-driving vehicles powered by AI. I guess that's not really mundane, but he's got it in that section. Said things like AI has been used to schedule interviews, haircuts, office hour appointments. It'll automate many tasks that don't take a lot of thought. So I think that's good. Here's a powerful area, medical diagnostics. It says, according to Business Insider, in early 2023, not that long ago, ChatGPT passed the U.S. medical licensing exam and just did really well, did better than a lot of doctors. In fact, it diagnosed a rare condition many doctors often miss. Why? Because AI is emotionless. It's all about logic. It's all about parameters that have been programmed into it. Said the man that wrote the book here, said he's asked different AI programs medical questions about his family. And he said he's been impressed with the medical advice and knowledge given. So he said this knocks me out. He read recently there's an AI program that can use the smartphone camera and diagnose a stroke with 82% accuracy. So all you do, you hold the camera up to your face, and you have a good chance of diagnosing a stroke. Especially with strokes, you want to get to the hospital as soon as possible. But then a lot of people say, I don't know, maybe I didn't have a stroke. Well, what if you could just hold your phone up to your face? And it said, yes, you do, or no, you didn't, right? So it could be life-saving. It said AI, of course, is no replacement for a real doctor, but for medical diagnostics, maybe a triage, when you're in the emergency room. Here are a couple more things. How about financial fraud monitoring? So maybe you've got a notification on your phone that asks if you made a certain purchase. So AI can improve financial monitoring and check on those things. Here's another area, concise summarization. So everybody can scan a document and get a concise summary of what's being said. It'll rephrase the document so you can understand it. It'll provide you with the opportunity to interact and ask questions about parts of the document that you're curious about or you don't really understand. Of course, it can read books. It can read documents. That's great. Automated reading. And maybe every book ever written could be made into an audiobook. Wow. Said maybe they'll be able to use a favorite actor or actress to lend the voice to it. Right? They can make that up. For people doing a lot of driving, you can listen to blog or journal articles that wouldn't have been available in the past. And now you can push of a button, you can read a text in almost any voice. Then there are things like email filtering and replies. He said it can become like an administrative assistant. So the author said he gets a lot of emails. He said, I know a lot of you get more than I do. So it helps people respond and organize emails. So he said, for example, he, being a seminary professor, he gets a lot of interview requests and speaking opportunities. He can't do them all, but he doesn't want to ignore people who took the time. So he said he actually has AI craft a response based on how he would respond. And he said, I look it over. He says, sometimes I change some words and phrases, but he said it saves him so much time. So it's kind of like pastors today have administrative assistants that could help. So that toward the end of this chapter, then he has a summary, which I think is helpful. So he said we should desire to take advantage of tools that would allow us to serve God. Said even the simple idea of using AI for spelling and grammar goes a long way to represent Christ well in just how we communicate. So he moves on, and I'm going to stop here, but he then moves. Chapter 3 will be the dark side of AI. And unfortunately, there is a dark side to it. But I hope that helps you just get kind of a feel for one person's view of AI. It's a shorter book, like I said. I do want to cover some of the longer books later. But AI is going to represent a tremendous challenge to Christianity. And yeah, I do think it ties into apologetics. I haven't really mentioned that yet. But apologetics is how can we effectively explain to people Christianity, right? What it is and why we believe it's true. And AI is there to help us. And unfortunately, AI can be used to drive people away from Christianity. So we'll get into a lot of that later. Well, thanks for being part of this podcast.